The sky was quiet. Then it wasn't. A huge explosion lit the night. A ball of fire rushed through the clouds. Birds scattered. Alarms screamed across a military base in the desert. Unidentified object entering Earth's atmosphere. Impact. In Zone 12, soldiers ran. Helicopters rose into the sky. Radar screens showed a single red dot getting closer, faster, louder. Boom! The Earth shook. A blinding light flashed. Something had crashed just outside the base, hard, a black, sharp-edged ship the size of a house lay broken in the sand. Smoke hissed from the cracks. Strange symbols glowed along its surface. No one had ever seen anything like it. And inside, something moved. Colonel Briggs stood at the edge of the crash site, eyes narrow, lips tight. "Do we have eyes inside?" he asked. A young officer nodded. "Yes, sir." Drone footage coming now. They watched on a screen. The ship's walls were opening. Slowly, carefully. Inside was a dark chamber. Red lights blinked. A tall figure sat chained to a wall, breathing slowly. Not human, not machine. Its skin was gray-blue. Its eyes were too large. It looked hurt, weak, but it wasn't alone. Standing in the corner was a woman. Human. Or at least, she looked human. She didn't speak. She didn't blink. She just stared at the alien, and then at the camera. The feed went dark. 4 black trucks carried the survivors back to the base. The alien was shackled in heavy chains. The woman walked on her own, hands behind her back. She didn't resist. She didn't look afraid. Inside the facility, soldiers pointed guns at her. She didn't flinch. "What's your name?" a guard asked. She said nothing. "Are you from Earth?" Silence. "Are you human?" Still nothing. Dr. Laura Miles, a xenobiologist, watched the woman through a one-way glass. "She hasn't said a word," Laura whispered. "She doesn't even blink." Colonel Briggs stood beside her. She came out of that alien ship, alone. No ID, no record, no heartbeat. The doctor scanned her. Nothing. "She has no heartbeat?" Laura's eyes widened. "She's not dead. She just doesn't read like anything we've seen." "What about the alien?" "He speaks," Briggs said. "A little. Mostly. Pain. Says only one thing clearly." "What's that?" The colonel looked her in the eye. "He says she's not one of us." The alien's cell was cold and silent. It sat against the wall, shivering. Blood dripped from its side. The creature was dying, slowly. A translator device blinked on his chest. A scientist stood outside, watching nervously. "What happened up there?" she asked. The alien coughed. "We crashed. Running." "From who?" The alien's eyes widened. "Her." He pointed to the corner of the room. Empty. The lights flickered. "She was locked deep. We thought she was dead." "Who is she?" The alien whispered. "She remembers now." Then it screamed. In the woman's room, one guard sat close. His name was Rick. He was new. He thought she was just scared, just quiet. "Hey," he said. "You okay? You need food, water?" She didn't answer. He stepped closer. She looked up. For 1 second, her eyes glowed red. Then everything went dark. Lights flickered. Alarms rang. Doors locked. The camera feed showed static. When power came back, Rick was gone. Only his helmet remained. And blood. Lots of it. Inside the alien cell. Colonel Briggs slammed his fist on the table. What the hell is going on? How did a trained soldier vanish from a locked room? "She moved," said Laura. They all turned to her. "I've been watching the camera footage, slowing it down. There's one frame, just one, where she's not in her chair." She showed them. The woman was standing behind Rick, hands on. His shoulders, eyes glowing red, then gone again. "She's fast," Laura whispered. "Too fast. Too dangerous," Briggs growled. "I want her locked down, now." They tried. 4 guards entered the room, all armed, all careful. "Ma'am," one said, "you need to come with us." The woman looked up slowly. Then she smiled. It was the coldest smile they'd ever seen. 10 minutes later, the cameras went offline again. When power returned, the guards were alive, barely. One had broken arms. Another had bite marks. The third was unconscious. The fourth? He sat in the corner, rocking back and forth, whispering, "She walked through the wall. She walked through the wall." Now they were afraid. Briggs ordered the alien questioned again. This time he begged. "Please," the alien said, tears in his eyes, "kill her, before she remembers more. Who is she?" "She was created by war. A tool, but she changed, killed her own people. Burned our ships, we caught her, locked her inside a memory prison. She forgot, until now. What happens if she remembers everything?" The alien shook his head. "Then, everyone dies." That night, Dr. Laura couldn't sleep. She watched old footage again. Of the ship. Of the crash. She noticed something. The woman wasn't walking out of the ship. She was already outside, watching it fall. Then she walked in. She didn't crash with the ship. Laura whispered. She found it. Inside her cell, the woman sat alone. She held something small in her hand, a silver tag. On it, Project Ghostblade Subject 01. She smiled again. Down the hall, the alien screamed for help. Blood poured from his mouth. On the wall, in his own blood, he had written one word: remember. Colonel Briggs stood frozen. Dr. Laura stared at the word in silence. Suddenly, the lights went out. The alarms didn't ring this time. Only a soft voice filled the hallway. It came from every speaker, from every wall. It was her voice, and she said only one thing: "I remember." The base was no longer calm. Everyone felt it, a kind of fear in the air. The woman who came from the alien ship was not speaking. She was not fighting either, but people kept disappearing. Systems kept breaking. Blood kept appearing where it should not be, and still. She smiled. In the main lab, Dr. Laura Miles stared at the screens. All systems were flickering. Cameras showed static every few minutes. Hallways lost power. Doors locked and unlocked by themselves. Something was moving through the base, and no one could stop it. Colonel Briggs entered the lab, his face tense. "Report," he said. "We lost power in Sector 4 for 7 minutes, Laura replied. "Was it her? I think so. She never leaves her room, but somehow things change around her." Briggs looked at the screen. "Did you find out who or what she really is?" Laura nodded slowly. "She's not in any human database, not in any DNA record. No past, no history. But she's not completely alien either." "So, she's both," Laura whispered. "Half human, half something else." Briggs's eyes narrowed. "Did we make her? I don't know. But someone did." The woman sat in her room, staring at the white wall. 2 guards watched her from behind a thick glass window. They were nervous. She hadn't moved in hours. Then suddenly, the glass cracked. Not shattered, just cracked. A thin, spiderweb line across the center. Neither of them had seen her move. One of them leaned closer. The crack spread. He stepped back quickly. "She didn't touch it, right?" The other guard shook his head. "She's not doing anything," he said. "That's the problem." In the alien's room, things were worse. He was dying. Fast. His skin was turning gray. His breath was short. The translator device blinked slowly. Laura came in with 2 other scientists. "We need answers," she said, "before he's gone." The alien looked at her, afraid. "She remembers," he said weakly. "We know. Who is she?" He closed his eyes. "She was created long ago, human science, mixed with something lost. We called her Ghostblade." Laura's heart raced. Why that name? She moved like a ghost. Killed like a blade. Fast, silent, unstoppable. What happened to her? She turned against her makers, against her own kind. Burned ships, destroyed cities. She wanted freedom. We caught her, locked her mind deep inside. But now she's awake. Yes, and she will not stop. That night, something new happened. A guard walked past the hallway near the woman's room. He paused. The door to her cell was open. No alarm. No warning, just open. He raised his gun slowly. Subject 01, don't move. She wasn't there. He stepped inside. And then the door shut behind him. In the control room, red lights began to flash. Warning, containment breach in cell 3. Briggs rushed to the monitors. Where is she? Gone, sir. No visual. She left the room and then vanished. Track her location. We can't. All sensors are offline. How? A voice came from the speakers. Her voice, calm, cold. I don't want to run. I want to show you. Dr. Laura was in her lab when the power shut off. Total darkness. Then the emergency lights came on, dim and red. In the center of the lab stood the woman. No doors had opened. No camera showed her enter. She was just there. Laura stood still. What do you want? The woman tilted her head. You asked the wrong question. Then what should I ask? The woman smiled. Ask what you did. Laura swallowed. Did we make you? The woman stepped closer. You made a weapon. But forgot to give it a heart. Laura whispered. Then why didn't you kill us yet? The woman looked sad for a moment. Because part of me still remembers being human. Then she walked toward the door. It opened by itself. Colonel Briggs ordered a full lockdown. Soldiers searched every hallway. No sign of her. But people kept disappearing. 2 engineers gone from the engine room. A janitor found locked inside a wall. Locker, shaking. A scientist found whispering the same sentence again and again. She walks in 2 worlds. She walks in 2 worlds. Meanwhile, in a hidden part of the base, a very old file was found. Laura and another tech opened it. The file was marked Project Ghostblade Tyramine 80. Inside was one photo. It showed the same woman. 80 years ago. Unchanged. Standing in a room with a team of scientists. All others in the photo were marked as deceased. How is this possible? Laura asked. She hasn't aged, the tech said. She's the same, exactly. There was one note in the file. If Subject 01 awakens, do not engage. Do not speak. Do not look into her eyes. The alien died that night, but before he passed, he said one last thing to the camera. She was not made to protect. She was made to end wars. Now, she is the war. As the base continued to break down, strange symbols began appearing on the walls, not written with hands, but etched in, glowing red, carved deep into the steel. They matched no known language, but when Laura ran them through a pattern scanner, a word appeared, remember. Then came the final test. They moved the woman into the main lab, surrounded by cameras. Soldiers hidden behind the walls. Lasers set to fire if she moved. She just sat. Laura entered, holding a scanner. I want to understand, she said carefully. The woman tilted her head. That's new. What is? Someone asking. Not demanding, not hurting. Just asking. Laura sat across from her. You said you were made. Who made you? Humans. All humans? No, just a few. Long ago. Secret minds. Dark goals. They wanted a weapon no one could stop. But you stopped them? I stopped myself. I didn't want to be a tool. Laura leaned forward. Then what do you want now? The woman looked sad. I want to forget. Suddenly, the lights flashed red. Warning sounds blared. New. Ship detected. Incoming. Not human. Colonel Briggs rushed to the command room. Is it one of theirs? He shouted. The tech shook his head. No, sir. It's different. Faster, bigger. It just appeared above us. Are they attacking? Not yet. Then a message came through the speakers. Alien language. Then a translation. We come not for you. We come for the one who escaped." Inside the lab, the woman looked up at the ceiling. "They're here," she whispered. "They still fear me." Laura looked at her. "Are you afraid of them?" "No," she said softly. "I'm afraid of what I'll have to do next." Outside, the alien ship hovered like a giant shadow over the base. No lights. No sounds. Just waiting. Then one word came from the ship: "Surrender her." Colonel Briggs stood at the edge of the landing pad looking up. "She's ours," he said. "She's not yours to take." The alien voice replied, "Then you will burn with her." Inside her cell, the woman stood up for the first time in hours. She looked at the camera. She smiled again. But this time, it wasn't cold. It was calm. Almost kind, and she said, "You locked me away. You broke me. But now you want me to save you." She held up her hand. A glowing symbol appeared on her palm, red and sharp. "I will save no one," she whispered. "But I will make them remember." The alien ship still floated above the base. It had been there for one full day. No weapons fired. No answers given. No soldiers came out. Just one message repeated every hour: "Surrender the escaped one, or be erased." Colonel Briggs was running. Out of time. Inside the lab, Dr. Laura Miles sat at her desk. Her hands were shaking. She couldn't stop thinking about what the woman had said. "You locked me away. You broke me. But now you want me to save you." Laura looked at the photo again, the one from 80 years ago, Project Ghostblade. Subject 1. The woman hadn't aged a single day. Some of the scientists in the photo were wearing the same uniform she was wearing now. Was the project still alive? Hidden. Laura zoomed into the corner of the photo. There was a computer, old, dusty. On its screen were red symbols, the same ones now appearing on the walls of the base. Back in the hallway, another soldier screamed. Laura rushed outside. The wall next to cell 3 was bleeding. Not paint, not fake. Real blood. Leaking through steel like water. And drawn in that blood, a symbol. The same one the woman had shown on her palm. A curved blade, a human eye. A line through both. Briggs came running. "What the hell is this?" Laura answered quietly. "She's writing in blood." He looked at her. "Whose blood?" She didn't answer. The body of a scientist was found that evening, inside the vents. His eyes were missing. No wounds. No fight. Just hollow eyes, like they had been burned from the inside. He had been writing something before he died. His notebook showed one phrase, repeated again and again: "She is not what we made. She is what we feared." The woman was now being held in containment room 6. It was the deepest room in the base. No windows. No doors, except one, made of 6-inch steel. She didn't try to escape. She just sat on the floor, drawing on the walls with her own blood, lines, circles, symbols. Some moved when you weren't looking. Guards stood watching through a screen. He blinked once. The symbols were gone. He blinked again. They were on the glass. Inside his room, he dropped his gun and ran. Colonel Briggs ordered an emergency team to study the blood. Dr. Ramesh, a specialist in genetics, took the samples. He ran them through every known system. The results shocked him. "This isn't normal blood," he told Laura. "It's not even human." "And what is it?" "It's code." "Code?" "Yes. Each cell carries a data pattern, like a computer chip. But organic. What kind of data?" He looked at her. "Instructions. Commands. Ancient information." "Can we read it?" "I'm trying, but it's dangerous." The system started rewriting itself just by scanning it. Laura stepped back. "You're saying the blood is alive?" "It's more than alive," Ramesh whispered. "It remembers." That night, a team of 4 soldiers entered the chamber to clean the walls. They went in. They never came out. Only one thing was found. A message written on the inside of the steel door. "Stop cleaning my memories." Laura sat alone in her lab. She opened the Ghostblade file again. A hidden folder appeared, password protected. She tried everything, nothing worked. Then, on impulse, she typed one word, remember. The file opened. Inside was a video. Old, black dash and dash white dot. It showed Subject 01, the same woman, walking through a testing chamber. Around her were machines, guns, soldiers. They fired at her. She didn't run. She vanished, then reappeared behind them. One by one, the soldiers dropped dead. The scientists behind the glass were cheering. She passed, one said. She's perfect. Then the video ended. Briggs called an emergency meeting. The alien ship has moved, he said. It's charging weapons. Laura stood. We need to release her. Briggs snapped. Are you insane? She's the only one they fear. We can't fight that ship. She's the reason this is happening. She's also the only one who might stop it. Another officer spoke up. We don't even know what she wants. Briggs turned to him. She wants US dead. Laura shook her head. No, I think she wants us to know. Know what? What we did. Back in her cell, the woman sat in silence. Laura entered carefully. I want to understand, Laura said. The woman turned her head. You're not like them. Like who? The ones before, the ones who made me. Then tried to erase me. Laura stepped closer. Why are you drawing symbols? I'm not drawing. I'm remembering. Remembering what? She closed her eyes. My real name. My real purpose. Before they renamed me Ghostblade. Laura sat on the ground. What was your name? The woman smiled softly. Elara. Outside. The alien ship began charging. Lightning formed around it. The base shook. Missiles were launched and vanished in midair. The ship didn't even flinch. The sky turned red. Elara stood up. She placed her hand on the wall. The metal melted like wax. She walked out. Briggs shouted, Stop her! Guards aimed their weapons. She raised one hand. All their guns rusted and dropped to the floor. She walked past them. Not fast. Not violent. Just calm. As if she had walked this path 1,000 times before. In the command center, alarms screamed. Weapons offline. Doors failing. Alien ship opening hatch. Colonel Briggs watched in horror. Then a voice came through every screen. Not the alien voice, Ilara's. This base was built on lies. Your leaders created me to destroy their enemies. When I refused, they called me broken, dangerous, evil. But I was never your enemy. You were your own. The alien ship fired. A massive red beam shot toward the base. But just before it hit, Ilara raised her hand, and the beam stopped in mid-air. Froze. Cracked like glass. Then shattered into light. Inside the alien ship, panic began. Ilara looked up, her eyes glowing. Her voice thundered through space. You locked me away. Now feel what I became. The ship exploded in the sky, without a sound. No fire. No debris. Just gone. Silenced. The base stood still. No one spoke. No one moved. Ilara stood in the center of the landing pad. Smoke rose around her. She was not smiling now. She looked tired. Old. Not in her face, but in her soul. Laura walked toward her. Why didn't you destroy us too? Ilara looked at her. Because you asked. Later that night, Laura entered her final report. Subject 01, also known as Ilara, is no longer held in the base. She left on foot. No one stopped her. We still do not understand what she is fully, but she remembers everything we tried to erase, and she forgave us. For now. The desert sun beat down on the military base. The silence after the explosion felt strange, too quiet. Colonel Briggs stood outside the control room, staring at the empty halls. The woman, Ilara, had disappeared. No one saw her leave. No alarm sounded. And the alien ship above had vanished without a trace. The base was in chaos. Inside the underground command center, the remaining scientists and soldiers gathered. Laura Miles spoke first. "We didn't just lose a prisoner. We lost a key to the truth." "What truth?" Briggs asked. Laura looked around the room. "The truth about why we created Alara, about what we did, and what we tried to hide." Briggs clenched his fists. "We built a weapon to protect Earth. If she was dangerous, she had to be stopped." "But was she dangerous?" Laura asked quietly. "Or did we make her dangerous?" Meanwhile, outside the base, Alara moved slowly through the desert. Her mind was heavy. Memories came in flashes, faces she couldn't place, names she couldn't remember. But one thing was clear. She had been betrayed. Flashback. A bright lab. White walls, cold air. Scientists in white coats whispered about a new project. Subject 01, one said. Perfect blend of human and alien DN. Her strength is unmatched. But she has no soul. Then we will give her one. Alara was a child in that lab. Her body grew, but her mind was trapped. She was a weapon built from lies. Back to present. Alara stopped at the edge of a cliff. Below her, a small town slept. She watched the lights flicker. She remembered one thing. She was made to protect. But protect from what? Inside the town, life went on unaware. People laughed. Children played. A mother tucked her son into bed. But shadows moved. Unseen watchers. Colonel Briggs and Laura returned to the town. "We need answers," Briggs said. "Where did she go?" Laura nodded. "She's hiding." "But why here? Why this town?" They entered a small diner. The waitress looked nervous. "Have you seen a woman, tall, gray-blue eyes?" The waitress shook her head. "But last night, some strange men came. Who were they?" "Foreign, cold, asking questions about a ghost." Briggs frowned. "A ghost?" That night, Briggs and Laura stayed in a small motel. They watched the sky. A new ship appeared, smaller than before. Landing quietly outside the town. Soldiers poured out. Searching. ELARA. Waited. She knew they were coming. She was ready. Back at the base, scientists uncovered a secret. Hidden files. Not just about ELI. About Earth's past. About a war no one remembered. Flashback. Centuries ago, humans found a strange signal. A signal from deep space. They answered. And they made a deal. The deal was simple. Earth would become a battlefield. But humans would get power. Technology. A chance to rule the stars. But the deal had a price. The aliens who came were not friends. They were hunters. Killing machines. Earth fought back, but humans had no weapons. They had to create. They created Alara, the perfect soldier. Back to the present. Laura showed Briggs the files. "We made her to win a war we forgot." Briggs shook his head. "That's a lie we told ourselves." "Then what's the truth?" Before Laura could answer, alarms blared. Outside, Alara moved through the shadows. She was not alone. A group of soldiers surrounded her. They raised weapons. She raised her hand. The ground shook. A wall cracked. The soldiers dropped their guns. Alara walked forward. Suddenly, a voice echoed. Not hers. Not human. Cold and angry. "You will not escape." From the dark came creatures. Tall, black, with glowing eyes. Hunters, the aliens who once hunted Earth. They had returned. Alara looked at the creatures. "I remember you," the leader growled. "You betrayed us. You left us behind. We were forced to fight. You left your own people to die." Alara shook her head. "I never left. I fought. I survived." The battle began. Alara against the hunters. Blows struck. Energy flashed. Briggs and Laura watched from a distance. They saw the fight. They saw Alara's power. They saw her pain. When the battle ended, Alara stood alone. The hunters were gone, but so were her memories. Briggs approached. "Alara, why do you fight?" She looked at him. "Because the truth is bigger than any war." That night, the town was quiet. But Alara knew it was only the beginning. She had to find the truth before it found her. The night was quiet again. Too quiet. In the small desert town, lights flickered. Power lines buzzed. The wind was cold, and the sky was heavy with stars. But the people inside their homes felt something worse than the cold. Fear. They didn't know why. They couldn't explain it. But they knew something was coming. Something ancient. Something deadly. Ilara stood in the hills, watching from the shadows. Her long coat moved in the wind. Her eyes glowed faintly red. Her mind was slowly coming back. Each memory returned like a sharp knife. She remembered war. She remembered pain. And most of all, she remembered betrayal. She was not a hero. She was a weapon. Far above Earth, a second alien ship had entered orbit. It was much larger than the last one, and it was not here to talk. It came to finish what the others could not: destroy Ilara. Inside the ship, a group of alien warriors prepared for war. One of them, their leader, stood tall. His armor was made of black bone. His voice was deep and cruel. She escaped our prison. She burned our ships. She broke the chain. Another warrior stepped forward. She will not escape again. No, the leader said. This time we kill her ourselves. They were not here to capture her. They were hunters, but she had once hunted them. Back on Earth, Colonel Briggs and Dr. Laura Miles were trying to track Ilara. They had returned to the desert base, now nearly empty after the pile. Last attack. All files about Project Ghostblade had been unsealed. Laura, read the latest one. File 47B. Ghostblade termination attempt failed. Subject escaped. Remark: Ilara is not human. Ilara is not alien. Ilara is the result of fear. Why did they call her that? Laura asked. Briggs looked tired. Because she moved like a ghost and cut like a blade. But she's not evil, Laura said. She's just alone. Briggs nodded. Alone and hunted. Meanwhile, in a hidden cave outside the town, Ilara stood over a strange box made of metal and bone. It hummed when she touched it. It opened slowly. Inside were weapons. Old ones. Not human. Not alien. Something older. Something forbidden. They called it the Forgotten Steel. She reached for one, a thin blade that glowed black under the moonlight. As she held it, her memories came faster. She saw the faces of the hunters. She remembered killing them, not out of hate, but survival. They had betrayed her long ago. Now, they were here to do it again, but this time, she would not run. In town, a boy named Sam saw a shape move past his window. He opened the door, stepping into the night. Ilara? He whispered. No answer. Then a shadow fell over him. A tall creature stood at the end of the road. Red eyes, long limbs, silent. It was not Elara. It was one of the hunters. Sam ran. The creature followed, silent, footsteps. No sound, only death in its eyes. Sam fell, scraped his knee. The hunter raised a long blade, then a flash of black steel. Ilara appeared from the darkness. The hunter looked up, surprised. Too late. She sliced once. Its head dropped in the dirt. Sam looked up. You saved me." Ilara said nothing. Her eyes were kind. "Go home," she said softly. Sam nodded and ran. More hunters came. They attacked fast and without mercy. Ilara fought in silence. Each move was perfect. She was faster than bullets, stronger than metal. They tried to trap her. She broke every trap. They tried to burn her. She walked through the fire. They tried to kill her. She killed them first. Colonel Briggs watched it all on satellite feed. "What is she?" one soldier asked. Briggs whispered, "She's what we made when we stopped believing in heroes." Inside the alien ship, the leader growled, "Our hunters are failing." Another said, "Send the shade burn." The leader nodded. "Yes, let him finish what the others cannot." The shade burn was not like the rest. He was older, stronger, smarter. He had once fought beside Ilara. Before she turned, now he wanted to end her himself. He landed in the desert. The ground cracked beneath his feet. Elara felt him before she saw him, a pull in her bones, a shadow in her thoughts. She stood alone in the open, waiting. The wind stopped. Time slowed. Then he came. Tall. Dark armor. Silver mask. The shade burn. You remember me, he said. Elara nodded. I wish I didn't. We were soldiers once. Now we're monsters. You chose this, he said. No, Elara whispered. You did. When you betrayed me. There. Fight shook the desert. Each strike sent dust into the sky. Blades clashed. Energy burned. He was strong. But she was stronger. Not in body, but in will. She remembered every lie, every wound, and it gave her power. After a long battle, the Shadeburn stood over her. You're tired, he said. She smiled. So are you. Then she drove the forgotten steel through his chest. He gasped. His body turned to ash. And Elara stood. Blood on her face, silent as the stars. The alien ship began to fall back. They were afraid. She had won again, but the war wasn't over. Not yet. Elara walked back into town. People watched from windows. Some were scared, others curious. She said one thing, I am not here to save you. Then she looked up at the stars. I'm here to stop what's coming next. Colonel Briggs arrived by helicopter. He stepped out and walked to her. You're hurt, he said. I'm healing, she replied. He paused. Why do you keep fighting? Elara looked at him. Because I was made to kill monsters. And now? She stared at the sky. Now I hunt the ones who made them. The desert was quiet. Too quiet. Elara sat alone on the edge of a rocky cliff, watching the stars above. Her black coat flapped gently in the wind. A deep scar ran down her arm, glowing faint red. Behind her, the small town slept. No one dared come close anymore. She had saved them, but she was still a mystery, and that made her dangerous. Far beneath the earth, deep in an abandoned bunker, machines were coming back to life. Old computers blinked. Cold metal arms moved, and a hidden voice whispered. From speakers, Project Ghostblade has returned. Dr. Laura Miles stood inside the ruins of the original Ghostblade facility. She had found it after weeks of digging through old files and secret codes. This place had been wiped from every map, hidden from the world. Forgotten by design. But not forgotten by ELARA. Laura moved carefully through the broken hallways. She was alone, armed only with a flashlight and her courage. The deeper she went, the colder the air became. Old walls were covered in red symbols, the same ones Elara had carved in blood. Laura stopped in front of a sealed door. On it was a metal plate. Project Ghostblade Core Elab. She placed her hand on the panel. The door opened. A long hallway stretched out in front of her. And at the end, a single room with one chair. Elara arrived not long after. She didn't speak. She just stood behind Laura, silent as a shadow. I knew you would come, Laura said. You shouldn't be here. Elara replied. I need to understand what they did to you. Elara walked past her, into the core lab. She stood in front of the chair. Her memories returned, sharp and painful. This was where they had created her. Where they had broken her. Flashback. She was 16, tied to the chair. Machines injected strange liquids into her veins. Her bones cracked. Her mind screamed. Voices outside the glass said, she's changing. She's not human anymore. Perfect. Back to the present. Elara touched the chair. It crumbled to dust. Laura found a file still inside the lab, a real paper file. Old, yellow, torn at the edges. She opened it slowly. Inside were pages of handwritten notes. Subject 01 was not made for peace. She was made to survive the next extinction. Her blood holds code. Her mind holds keys. She is not our creation. She is our mirror. Suddenly, alarms blared across the old bunker. Red lights flashed. Elara turned sharply. They found us. Outside, helicopters appeared over the desert. They were not human. Dark steel. No flags. No warnings. Alien symbols glowed along their wings. New. Enemies. Not the hunters from before. These were something else. Clean. Cold. Quiet. Machines. The sky opened as black. Ships descended. They released long rods into the ground. Drills. The earth shook. Ilara stared at them. "They're not here for me," she said. Laura looked confused. "Then who?" Ilara pointed at the core lab. "This place. The data. They want to erase what they created." Down below, the machines entered the bunker. Tall. Silver. No eyes. No faces. Silent. Deadly. Weapons extended from their arms. Ilara didn't wait. She moved fast. One machine stepped forward. She jumped, landed on its shoulders, snapped its head off with her bare hands. The others opened fire. She vanished. Laura ran for cover. The lab walls exploded. Ilara reappeared, holding a broken pipe. She fought like a ghost. Fast. Deadly. Unstoppable. Each machine she killed left behind a strange black smoke. Laura scanned it. It wasn't smoke. It was data. Digital memory leaking from their cores. She grabbed one of their processors, plugged it into her portable tablet. The screen blinked. System override. Ghostblade protocol still active. New target, Subject 01. "They're not just machines," Laura whispered. "They're cleaning units." "Cleaning what?" Ilara asked. "History," Laura said. "They're erasing everything connected to you." The main server in the bunker began melting. The floor cracked. Fire spread. The entire place was going to collapse. Ilara grabbed Laura and ran. They jumped over debris, dodged fire, escaped just in time. The ground behind them fell into darkness. Ghostblade Lab was gone, but Laura still had the processor, and Ilara had her memories. They traveled to a nearby safe house, an old outpost from the original war. Inside were dusty walls, broken lights, and silence. Ilara sat down, bleeding slightly. Laura plugged the processor into a larger console. The screen came alive. An old video played. A room filled with military leaders and scientists. They stood in a circle around a large tank. Inside it, ELARA. Younger. Eyes closed, still growing. A voice spoke. Project Ghostblade was never about peace. It was about control. It being powerful enough to defeat our enemies and ourselves. If she ever wakes up, terminate everything. Laura turned to Ilara. "They were afraid of you even before you were born." Ilara didn't answer. She stared at the screen. The next video clip showed her as a teenager, fighting other test subjects. She won every time. The others screamed. Some begged for mercy. She had shown none. Was this really me? Ilara asked. Laura stepped closer. "No, this was who they made you be," Ilara whispered. "And now, you're free." Outside the outpost, movement. A group of humans. But not normal ones. They moved like machines, eyes glowing blue. "You see that?" Laura said. Ilara stood. "They sent cleaners again. Human-machine hybrids. They won't stop," Ilara nodded. "Then neither will I." The battle was fast. Brutal. The hybrids used high-tech weapons. But Ilara used something more powerful. Rage. Purpose. Memory. She tore through them like lightning. One hybrid grabbed her. She grabbed back, pulled its mask off. Beneath the mask, a human. Face. Pale. Empty. Lost. She froze. He whispered, "Help me." Then he exploded. After the fight, Laura examined the remains. These weren't soldiers. They were victims. Brainwashed. Ilara looked down, and not the only one they broke. That night they sat by a small fire. Ilara spoke softly. "They built Project Ghostblade not to win a war, but to erase truth." Laura nodded. "And you're the only one left who remembers it." Ilara stood up. Her eyes burned like stars. "Then I'll remind them." The world had changed. No alarms, no news stories. No big explosions. Just silence. People didn't know what was happening behind the curtain, what secrets were being buried beneath the ground. But something dark was growing. Machines were moving across the earth. Quietly. Destroying every file, every lab, every memory of Project Ghostblade. The world was forgetting. But one person still remembered. ELIRA. A stood on top of a tall building in a dead city. It was once a government research hub. Now it was empty. Burned. Deleted. She looked down at the ruined streets. Everything they built, she whispered, was a lie. Dr. Laura Miles worked fast inside a hidden bunker. She had set up old servers, connected satellites, and found abandoned broadcast towers. She had one goal: send the truth to the world. All the Ghostblade files, all the test videos, all the documents that proved what the government and alien forces had done. She turned to Ilara. Are you ready? Ilara looked tired, but her eyes burned with purpose. They took my name, my life, my past. Now I take back the truth. But the machines had found them. Again. This time, they came in thousands. Not just robots, reprogrammed humans, eyes blue with code, minds controlled, hearts gone. The final phase had begun. Erase the truth. Erase Ilara. Inside the bunker, Laura started the upload. Each file was heavy: raw video, old reports, voice recordings from long-dead scientists. She whispered, "Come on. Come on." Then the power flickered. Red lights flashed. Warning, enemies near. Outside, Ilara faced the first wave. The air was still. She could hear the machines marching. No fear, no mercy. She closed her eyes and remembered everything they had done to her. She whispered, "I am not your weapon anymore." Then she attacked. She moved like lightning, a blur of motion. She jumped from one enemy to the next, breaking metal, cracking skulls. Dodging bullets. She was faster than any drone, smarter than any AI. She was the ghost in their system. Inside, Laura shouted into her mic, "Upload at 67%. The machines were trying to cut the signal. She had locked the server, but it wouldn't last long. One machine broke through the wall. Laura grabbed a shock rifle and fired. Sparks flew. The machine collapsed. But more were coming. Ilara burst back inside, covered in burns and cuts. "Status?" she asked. 85%, Laura said. "They're jamming us." "Hold the line," Ilara said. "No matter what." Another wave hit. This time, larger machines, twice Ilara's size. Built for war. One slammed her against the wall. She coughed blood, then grinned. "You hit harder than the last guy." She stabbed it through the chest. It exploded. Meanwhile, in hidden control centers around the world, red alerts popped up. Unauthorized data leak detected. Ghostblade protocol exposed. World governments at risk. High-level officials panicked. Shut it down. One shouted, but it was too late. The data was spreading. Screens across the world flickered. Phones buzzed. Laptops opened, and people saw a young girl in a lab screaming. Scientists calling her Subject 01. Soldiers cheering as she killed. Test subjects. The truth about how she was made. The war that was hidden from history. People were shocked. Some cried. Others raged. But no one could look away. The world had remembered. Back in the bunker, the upload reached 100%. Laura screamed with joy. "We did it." Ilara fell to her knees, exhausted. But then a low rumble shook the walls. From above, something came. Not a machine, not a drone, but a ship, massive, black, ancient. The architects had returned. The ones who started Project Ghostblade in the first place. Inside the ship, a voice echoed. Cold, metallic. "You have broken the order. You must be erased." Ilara stood. She wiped the blood from her face. "Come and try." The ship released one final creation. Not a weapon, not a soldier, but a copy, another. ELARA dot, same face dot, same powers. But loyal to the architects. The two stood facing each other on the broken ground. Real. Elara. Synthetic ELARA dot, one made from pain. Other made from code dot. The fake Elara spoke first. I am perfect. You are broken. Real Elara smiled. I'm not perfect. I'm human. Then the final fight began. It was brutal. Steel against steel. Memory against programming. Elara hit harder. The fake was faster. But Elara had something more. She had choice. She had pain. She had reason. They crashed through buildings, smashed walls, shattered glass. Finally, Elara grabbed the fake and looked her in the eyes. You feel nothing. I feel everything. Then she drove her blade through her twin's chest. The fake Elara gasped. Then turned to ash. The massive ship above began to fall back. The architects were afraid now. They had failed to control the truth. Elara looked up and spoke to the stars. I am not your mistake. I am not your weapon. I am your reminder. Across Earth, people marched. They demanded answers. They wanted justice. World governments tried to deny the files, but it was too late. Elara had reminded them. She had reminded everyone. Back in the bunker, Laura watched the news. Elara stood beside her. You did it, Laura said. Elara shook her head. No, we did it. Then Elara looked to the sky one last time. The stars blinked softly. She knew this was not the end. The architects would return. Others would try to replace her. But now, Earth was no longer blind. People knew her name. They knew the truth. And they would remember, because Elara had made sure of it. The sky was dark. The stars were hidden behind thick clouds. The world was quiet. But under the silence, something terrible was coming. Elara stood on a hill outside the city. Her eyes searched the horizon. She knew the final battle was near, since the truth had been revealed. Things had changed. People knew the secrets of Project Ghostblade, but the architects, the creators of the evil plan, were not finished. They sent a final order, a last command. Deep inside a hidden facility, cold machines waited. Silent. Patient. Ready. Elara looked at Dr. Laura Miles. We need to stop this, Laura said. Elara nodded. This is the last fight. Suddenly, the ground shook. A loud roar filled the air. From the sky, huge ships appeared. Black, massive, and filled with weapons. The architects were here. They opened giant doors. Robots and soldiers poured out. Elara took a deep breath. Let's finish this. The battle began. Elara fought like never before. She moved with speed and power. She was no longer just a weapon. She was a protector. The robots were strong. They fired lasers and missiles. But Elara was faster. She dodged and attacked. Her blade cut through metal. Laura worked behind the scenes. She hacked into the enemy's system. Her fingers flew over the keyboard. She sent viruses to slow the robots. The fight went on for hours. Elara was tired. Her body hurt, but her spirit was strong. She remembered why she fought, for freedom, for truth. Suddenly, a huge robot appeared. It was bigger than all the others. Its eyes glowed red. It raised a massive weapon. Elara stood her ground. The robot fired. The blast hit the ground. Elara jumped high. She ran toward the robot, her blade shining bright. She struck the robot's chest. Sparks flew. The robot fell. The fight was almost over. But then, a voice came from the ship. Cold and cruel. Subject 01, surrender. Elara answered, I am no one's subject. She looked up. The ship began to fall apart. The architect's control was ending. Their machines slowed. The robots stopped moving. The war was ending. Elara stood tall. She looked at the sky. She felt free. Laura came beside her. We did it. Elara smiled. This is only the beginning. The world was changing. People were no longer afraid. They remembered the truth. They would never forget. ELARA dot, she was a symbol. A reminder of hope dot as the sun rose. Ilara looked toward the future. The last directive was clear. Protect the world. Protect freedom. Protect truth. The end.